It had been 3 years since I broke up with the young chaebol of Busan, Jungkook. The next time I ran into Jungkook, I was haggling with a veggie vendor. "You're almost closing up. Can you give me a better price?" It was crowded in the evening market. I moved my little scooter closer to the curb, and that's when I spotted a small beggar squatting nearby. His clothes were in tatters. He was devouring a plain steamed bun so fast that he started choking and rolled his eyes back. Jungkook, over the years news about him had flooded the media like a snowstorm. He was the talk of every tea break and dinner table. Jungkook, sole heir of the John Group, inherited the business at a young age and squandered it just as fast. Just a few days ago, the news broke. John Group officially declared bankruptcy. Still, I always believed that a dying camel is bigger than a horse. Even a bankrupt rich man could live out the rest of his life in comfort. I never thought he would fall this far. The moment he saw me, the half-swallowed bun slipped from his mouth. He immediately turned his head away in panic. "I'm not who you think I am. You've got the wrong person, don't look at me." His face was unshaven, his hair a tangled mess. He looked nothing like the polished prince he once was. Even so, I'd never mistake him for someone else. We broke up, and within a month, he got engaged to Lee Minji. At the lavish wedding ceremony, Minji wore a champagne-colored custom gown, dazzling jewels adorning her neck, smiling like a flower as she clung to his arm. The two of them stood side by side, exchanging smitten glances filled with affection. When Jungkook kissed her on the forehead, the crowd screamed. The press went wild with their cameras. At that time, I lay in bed, curled up under the covers, crying my heart out as I stared at those high-resolution trending photos. My heart boiled with bitterness. I couldn't help but grumble internally. "So, what now? You came looking for me? Where's your fiancé? Did she dump you?" But I never said those words out loud. His gaze darted around, not daring to meet mine. "I'm just a beggar now, you don't have to worry about me," I snapped impatiently. "Jungkook, drop the act. You came all the way here to ask for help, didn't you? Give me your phone." Jungkook obediently handed over his phone, letting me mess with it freely. The face recognition worked without issue. His account balance $5.20 as expected. So broke, he couldn't even afford food. I frowned and quickly transferred money, $3 million. "It's in your account now. Don't get the wrong idea. It was your mom's breakup fee." I never touched a cent. It was his money anyway. Hopefully, it would help him through this rough patch, but he didn't leave. He remained crouched by the curb, looking defeated. "YN, you still look down on me, just like before. But to be fair, I never gave you anything to look up to. I'm nothing more than a stray dog now." "And $3 million? He shook his head and gave a bitter smile. "Doesn't matter how much you give me. My bank account is frozen. Money in but nothing out." I rolled my eyes. "Why didn't you say that earlier?" He gave a sorrowful smile and stood up, pretending to walk away. "Sorry for bothering you. I'm used to sleeping on the streets anyway. Missing a few meals won't kill me, it's just that it rained last night and it got pretty cold under the bridge." He limped slightly as he walked. His legs seemed badly injured. Wait. The words left my mouth before I could stop myself. And then I regretted it. I wanted to slap myself. "YN, are you seriously still soft on this jerk?" He paused and explained on his own. "Loan sharks came knocking. My family couldn't pay up. I got hurt in the process. Broke my leg. But it's fine. I'm not dying or anything." A battle raged in my heart. I couldn't bring myself to tell him to leave. To be fair, when we were dating, aside from the ugly breakup, he treated me incredibly well. When my mom suffered a sudden brain hemorrhage, it was Jungkook who rushed over and found the best specialist in the city. He helped save her life. He stayed by my side in the hospital for days. I thought to myself, even if the love between us is gone, there's still a bond of gratitude. Now that he's fallen this low, I can't just stand by and watch. With a frustrated sigh, I muttered, "Fine, I'll take care of you for a while." Jungkook's eyes lit up, brimming with hope. "But let me warn you first, life with me won't be luxurious." He nodded like mad. I rolled my eyes at him, tossed the groceries into the scooter basket, and steadied the handlebars. "Hop on, you got it." Right before we entered the house, I suddenly remembered something. Last night, I had drawn some slightly risque illustrations, and they were still lying out in the living room. You wait here. I need to tidy up a bit first. Coco was lying on the couch playing by himself. I couldn't help but scoop him up and shower him with kisses. Coco, Mommy's home. Mwah, mwah. Were you good while I was gone? Did you miss me? Mwah, mwah. Mommy brought someone back for you today. A new uncle. Suddenly, the front door burst open with a loud bang. Jungkook stormed in, pale as a ghost, eyes wide in shock. You had a child with someone? I was stunned for a moment, unsure what he meant. Then his eyes and mine simultaneously fell on the small kitten in my arms. A friend's cat had kittens. This one's from her. I answered seriously. Silence fell between us. Jungkook awkwardly let out an "oh," rubbed his nose, and glanced around the ceiling, pretending nothing had happened. Ahem. The kitten. It's kind of cute. Liar. Back when we lived in a rented place together, I wanted to raise a kitten. Jungkook firmly refused. His reason? Cat shed fur and he had a cleanliness obsession. Once a cat swiped at him in a cat cafe. He came home and threw away the clothes he was wearing. I warned him. Coco is family. I'm raising him like a son. If you can't handle that, then you will have to find another place to stay. With his long legs, Jungkook walked over, crouched in front of Coco, gently held its tiny paws, and looked at it with soft affection. Coco, hello, I'm your dad, Jungkook. I glared at him, just about to warn him not to talk nonsense, when my peripheral vision accidentally caught sight of the sketchbook still lying on the coffee table, completely uncovered. What's this? Jungkook had noticed it, too. I lunged forward to grab it, but in that split second, he had already skimmed through most of the content. Give it back. I was both embarrassed and furious. Using his height to his advantage, he held the sketchbook high above his head. Even on my tiptoes, I couldn't reach it. Tisk, YN, you actually draw pretty well. Jungkook had a pair of charming, slightly upturned eyes. When his thin lips curved into a smile, they shimmered with a roguish glint. He stared at me with a smirk that was both teasing and unreadable. Me, YN, a good girl from a proper respectable background. But I'd been thoroughly corrupted by the internet. Last week, my art account hit over 1 million followers. I asked them what kind of bonus content they wanted. The comment section was a cesspool of suggestiveness. I can't stand emotionally constipated men anymore. Hungry? Craving something hot and meaty. Mistress, give us a car play or a hot spring scene. Fueled by their wicked desires and my overactive imagination, I pulled an all-nighter to draw several spicy illustrations. Never thought they'd fall into Jungkook's hands this soon. He glanced at one of the sketches and burst into laughter. YN, I didn't know you were into this kind of thing. Back then, I'd just kiss you and your face would turn bright red. My cheeks burned. Had he figured it out? The man in the drawing was modeled after him. Even though we'd been broken up for 3 years, and I thought I'd let go, I found myself unconsciously sketching his features. Whenever I saw someone on social media with a similar profile picture, I'd freeze for a good while. Those memories were rooted too deeply. One small ripple and they stirred up endless waves beneath the surface. And once the ripples faded, only bitterness remained. Jungkook seemed to realize I was upset. The teasing smile faded. He lowered his gaze and said gently, "Don't be mad. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have looked." I snatched the sketchbook from his hand, mumbling, "From now on, don't touch my things without permission." Okay, go take a shower. Okay. Jungkook seemed much more obedient now. He walked straight to the shoe cabinet and glanced around. Do you have any men's slippers? Still caught up in my flustered mood, I snapped without thinking. I live alone. Why would I have men's slippers? He inexplicably let out a breath of relief. The corners of his lips lifted into a grin as he looked up at me. That's good. Oh, I mean, it's fine. I don't mind going barefoot. While he showered, I ran to the nearby convenience store to buy some men's essentials. By the time I returned, Jungkook had just stepped out of the bathroom. He was towel drying his hair, a white bath towel wrapped around his waist. His upper body was dripping wet, water running down his hair, tracing along his abs, and soaking into the fabric around his hips. I had seen him naked before. I knew he had a great body, which meant I couldn't act like I'd never seen it. But I also couldn't act like I was used to it. Otherwise, he might think I'd been longing for his body all this time. I calmly averted my eyes and said in a deliberately flat tone, tinged with annoyance, "Why are you using my towel?" "Huh? It's the only one I found, and I don't have any clean clothes. I had to use it to cover myself." Jungkook looked at me with big wet eyes, pitiful as a soggy puppy. My voice softened despite myself. "Then take it off. I bought you some pajamas." "Okay." He agreed sweetly, then casually undid the knot on the towel. The movement was elegant and unhurried, almost noble. Before I could even process what was happening, he was already standing in front of me, almost completely exposed. I let out a shriek and spun around in panic. "What are you doing? Didn't you tell me to take it off?" His voice hesitated. Then I heard him take a few steps forward. He stopped right behind me. Then came his usual pitiful tone again, "YN, you're being so mean to me." His breath was warm, carrying the scent of gardenia shampoo and body oil. It wrapped around me like a trap. Caught off guard, Jungkook wrapped his arms around me from behind. He buried his face in my neck. His eyelashes were damp and his voice slightly choked. "Not long after we broke up, my dad passed away. Actually, he'd already been diagnosed with cancer before that. I was suddenly left in charge of this huge company. I didn't know what I was doing. I got taken advantage of from all sides. After the company went bankrupt, my mom and sister couldn't take the stress. They were sent to the countryside to recover. Now I'm deep in debt. I'm this close to selling my body. No one cares if I live or die except for you. You're all I have left." I had never seen Jungkook so vulnerable before. Frozen in his arms, my whole body stiffened with tension. Trying to console him, I gently patted his hand. "There's always a way forward. Now let go of me." Instead, Jungkook held on even tighter. He leaned in close and whispered against my ear, "Baby, next time you want to draw, I can take it all off for you to use as a live reference. I'll do whatever you want as long as it makes you happy." I gritted my teeth. "Are you trying to sell your body to survive?" "I'm happy to sell it to you." He sounded cheerful, not the least bit offended. I laughed out of sheer disbelief. "Do you even have any shame?" "Nope." His tone was resolute. His arms wrapped tighter around my waist, lean muscles rippling under smooth skin. Just from that one brief glance earlier, I'd seen enough. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, defined abs. Those strong arms could easily lift me. His waist looked like it had endless energy. Suddenly, a familiar song popped into my head like a drama BGM. It's just that women are easily drawn too deep, always trapped in love and fall deeper still. My sanity nearly snapped. I swallowed hard, trying to pull myself back to reality. Word by word, I forced myself to stay grounded, pick up your clothes and your dignity, and put them both back on. If you're still naked in 5 seconds, I'll throw you out on the street and make you strip in public. Jungkook picked up the towel and trudged back to the bathroom with a wounded expression. I could hear the faint rustling of him getting dressed. I curled up on the sofa with the cat, trying to calm myself down. That was close. Way too close. I almost lost all self-control. That man is dangerous. At the most critical moment, I remembered Minji. If she still wanted him, would he have come to me at all? If he hadn't fallen this far, if he were still the young chaebol of the John family, who could have anything with a snap of his fingers, would he have even remembered me? Probably not. But then, why hadn't he changed his phone wallpaper? That photo wasn't even high resolution, yet he kept it all this time. It was taken on our college campus, the field lush with green grass. It was from a promotional shoot by the campus media capturing a soccer game. 2 blurred figures happened to appear in the distant background. A girl with a high ponytail sat on a ping-pong table, face flushed red, as a boy leaned in and whispered something to her. Back then, I fell for Jungkook at first sight. My roommate Do-hee, who slept in the bunk above mine, was utterly shocked. "YN, do you even know who he is? Do you know how rich his family is?" I rarely bothered to ask if someone was wealthy because frankly everyone was richer than me and I had seen the car he drove to campus, a modest Volkswagen. I decided to go through his roommate to get close. "Do-hee, don't you have the contact of one of Jungkook's dorm mates? Can you send it to me?" "Sure, I'll ask around." Soon, she sent me a contact with the nickname Jay. He accepted my friend request. I got straight to the point. "Hi, I'm YN. Jungkook lives in your dorm, right? Yeah, I kind of like him and I want to chase him. Can I ask about his hobbies or what he likes? The reply took a while. The typing bubble lasted for ages before I finally got sure. Though his replies were short, he was surprisingly cooperative. He sent me their class schedule and I began auditing classes. Strangely enough, despite how popular Jungkook was, there was always an empty seat next to him. At first, I'd sit behind him quietly, then sometimes in front. Eventually, as we grew more familiar, he'd greet me first, and I'd sit beside him. In the crowded lecture hall, fans whirled noisily overhead in the summer heat. I would steal glances at him again and again. His hands were slender and well-shaped, every finger defined. His jawline traced a perfect profile. He was so handsome. Even when taking notes, he sat upright, his black pen scratching softly against the textbook. I'd rest my chin on my palm, completely mesmerized. Then he suddenly turned slightly, catching me in the act. The corners of his mouth lifted as he smiled faintly. "Classmate, is there something on my face?" I snapped my gaze away, my cheeks burning. The classmate, known as Jay, provided excellent intel. He told me when Jungkook went to self-study, when he played basketball, and when I could accidentally run into him at the cafeteria. His info was so precise, I started to wonder, was he stalking Jungkook? Sometimes I didn't even have to ask. He would take the initiative to update me. He helped me so much with chasing Jungkook that I felt bad. Whether I succeeded or not, I owed him a proper thank you. I had always saved his contact as Jungkook's roommate. There was a rumor that people often spelled his name wrong. Wanting to be respectful, I decided to clarify. "By the way, how do you spell your name? I haven't updated your contact yet." "Jungkook. Come on. Be serious." He sent me a voice message instead. "Classmate, we've known each other this long and you still don't know my name." That voice in my headphones. I knew it too well. It was warm and crisp with a lazy chuckle at the end. Absolutely unmistakable. My brain buzzed. I nearly threw my phone across the room. "Dohee, the contact you gave me. Whose was it?" Dohee looked confused. "Jungkook's, of course. You said you wanted to pursue him, so I got it from Eddie." "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Thank you, dear Lord, for giving me such a wonderful friend." I buried myself under the covers, too ashamed to face the world. Jungkook sent me a lot of messages after that. I couldn't bear to read them. Within days, unread messages hit 99 plus. I stopped crushing his classes. At the cafeteria, I'd avoid his time slots. Anywhere he might appear, I took detours. Like a thief, I spent days skulking around campus. 1 week later, the teacher hadn't arrived yet, but the classroom was already in a small frenzy. "Oh my God, is that Jungkook? Is he really going to sit in on our class? Where? Where is he sitting?" I felt the buzz of excitement all around me. My heart was pounding. I kept my head down and pretended to be invisible. Then, right in front of everyone, he walked straight over and sat down in the empty seat next to me. I couldn't focus the entire class. When it was finally over, I got up to leave, but Jungkook turned toward me and asked casually, "Why haven't you replied to any of my messages?" He smiled slightly. "Didn't you say you were chasing me? Why'd you give up?" I panicked. My face flushed crimson. Before I knew what I was doing, I pushed him away and bolted out of the classroom, down the stairs, out the building, past the cafeteria, onto the empty sports field. It was like I was fleeing for my life, running with every ounce of strength I had. Jungkook called after me, running behind me. Wait. The wind was cool, but my face still burned. Some students were playing soccer. The media team was taking pictures nearby. Thankfully, no one paid us any attention. He kept a few meters behind me the entire time. Eventually, I was too exhausted to run. I stopped near a ping-pong table, bending over to catch my breath. Only then did Jungkook jog over, half laughing, half exasperated. "Why were you running so fast?" "I wasn't going to eat you." I blinked at him, confused. "You mean you couldn't catch up to me?" He was well over 6 feet tall with long legs. How did he not overtake me? To my surprise, he wasn't even winded. His eyes were bright and his voice soft, cutting through the summer noise. "I was afraid you'd trip if I ran too fast." I felt an overwhelming wave of embarrassment. It was bad enough not being able to win over my crush. Now I was just making a fool of myself. I mumbled an explanation. I meant to add Eddie. I must have sent a request to the wrong person. Sorry. Jungkook burst into laughter. I wasn't teasing you and I definitely wasn't playing games. When you messaged me asking about my interests and schedule, I was actually really happy. He smiled gently with a hint of indulgence. With ease, he lifted me onto the ping-pong table. My legs dangled off the edge. I looked up slightly right into his eyes. His long lashes curled like fans. His gaze was full of warmth. A soft breeze brushed past. The cicadas sang in the background. A soccer ball flew into the net behind us, drawing cheers from the field. Jungkook's hand still rested lightly at my waist. He didn't let go. "YN," he said softly. "Do you know what the happiest thing in the world is?" "What?" I held my breath. A stray lock of hair tickled my cheek. He leaned in, gently pressing his forehead to mine. "When you like a girl and don't know how to confess, but then she comes chasing after you." Jungkook told me that during our freshman military training, I sang his favorite song. The day I sang a song on stage, that's when we both fell in love at first sight. He would accompany me to hole-in-the-wall diners, sip the cheap lemon tea I bought from chain stalls, and laugh with crinkled eyes as he watched me haggle with street vendors while traveling. I always thought we were the same kind of people until the day he gave me a set of Bulgari jewelry for my birthday. His tone light and casual, "It just suits your skin tone. If you don't like it, we can pick out something else." That was when I realized his background far exceeded what I could comprehend. The Volkswagen he drove to school, the one I thought was modest, it was worth over 2 million, and it was the most unremarkable car in his family's garage. Meanwhile, I'd saved 2 months' worth of living expenses just to buy him a halfway decent electric shaver. He told me my thoughtfulness was all that mattered. That as his girlfriend, I didn't need to be frugal, but I couldn't just gift him a blade of grass and call it sincerity. And I didn't want to live off his money. After graduation, life beat me down again and again. If the John Group hadn't gone bankrupt, if the young chaebol hadn't fallen from grace, we probably would never have crossed paths again. I glanced at my phone. A new message popped up from Henry. "Hey, what did you eat tonight?" A wave of irritation washed over me. This all started with a married friend of mine. Our conversations had 2 main themes. 1. Complaining about the miseries of married life. 2. Urging me to get married. That day, she invited me out for a casual meal, or so I thought. When I arrived, she beamed and gestured to the overly enthusiastic young man beside her. "This is Henry. He works with my husband. Around your age, why don't you two get to know each other?" Since then, Henry had been engaged in a one-man show of immersive chatting for over a month. Every morning, "Good morning," every night, "Good night," every meal, "What are you eating?" This time, he even managed to squeeze out something new. "Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow?" Just as I was contemplating how to turn him down, the bathroom door opened. "YN." Startled, I quickly tucked my phone away like a guilty thief. Even in a plain pajama set, Jungkook still exuded an effortless, refined charm. His fair skin and neatly combed black hair made him look like the clean-cut boy next door. He glanced toward my bedroom, eyes flickering with a strange anticipation. "But there's only one bedroom. Where should we sleep tonight?" I was just about to reply when he limped forward with exaggerated difficulty, already making a noble sacrifice. "I can sleep on the floor. It's just a limp. Catching a cold shouldn't worsen the injury." With a sigh, I got up and opened a door in the corner of the apartment. "Jungkook, are you blind? Who said there's only one bedroom?" The landlord had converted the study into a second bedroom. After my roommate moved out, it had remained vacant. Jungkook looked visibly disappointed. I gestured toward the room with mock formality. "Young master, shall I escort you in?" He hobbled over into the small windowless room, but before closing the door, he turned back suspiciously. "YN, were you chatting with someone just now?" "Huh? No." The next night, I agreed to meet Henry. I decided to set things straight. Before leaving, I left $200 on the table for Jungkook to cover dinner. Henry stood outside the restaurant, awkward and apologetic. "Sorry, the hostess said someone just booked the entire place. Should we go somewhere else?" We moved to another restaurant. Same thing, just booked. It was like we were cursed. No matter where we went, each place had been fully booked just moments before. In the end, the only place left was a high-end Japanese restaurant where the average meal cost 4 figures. Henry hesitated, lips twitching nervously. Should we just go with this one? I wasn't about to let either of us splurge unnecessarily. I'm not a fan of sushi. Let's just walk along the street a bit. Henry let out an audible breath of relief. Sounds good. The city was alive with lights. Cars rushed past as Henry and I strolled down the sidewalk, chatting idly. But I kept glancing behind us, unsettled. Henry, don't you feel like we're being followed? He looked back, too. Nope. I didn't notice anything. Then, without warning, it started to rain hard. Henry immediately took off his jacket and held it over my head. That's strange. The forecast didn't say rain. My place is nearby. Want to wait it out at my apartment? Just then, a taxi pulled up beside us. The driver poked his head out. Miss, need a ride? A miracle? I nearly cried. Grabbing the opportunity, I quickly said goodbye to Henry and dove into the cab. The driver looked young, sharply dressed in a full suit and tie. He wore sunglasses at night and sat bolt upright, his tall frame bumping into the roof more than once. He didn't look like a taxi driver. If anything, he resembled the stoic bodyguard of a CEO in a TV drama. When I got home, I was surprised to see the ground dry. Muttering under my breath, I pulled out my keys, only to trip over something at the door. Jungkook was curled up at the entrance, arms around his knees, clutching 2 large bags of food. Startled by the noise, he opened his eyes and grabbed my leg like a drowning man. "YN, you're finally back. Where did you go? I thought you didn't want me anymore." Confused, I asked, "Why didn't you go inside?" "I took the $200 you left and went out to buy dinner. Then I realized I don't have a key to your place. Your old phone number doesn't work either." He lowered his eyes, looking completely lost. My heart clenched. The once glorious heir to a vast empire. What kind of storm had he weathered to become so sensitive and insecure? I ruffled his hair and spoke gently. "Sorry, that was my fault. I forgot to leave you the spare key. I'll send you my new number in a minute. Now come in. Have you eaten yet?" Jungkook rested his chin on his palm, gazing at me. "No, I was waiting to eat with you." I opened the bags he had brought back. Every ingredient was packaged like a luxury gift box, neatly labeled, sitting at top layers of crushed ice, salmon, rose dragon lobster, Arctic king crab, foie gras, wagyu beef. There was also my favorite, baked durian with cheese. The total price, $175. I stared in disbelief. Was that cheap? "Yeah, discount," Jungkook said with a perfectly straight face. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door.